Hello and welcome to the Infinite Binge, where we discuss all of our favorite binge-worthy TV shows and movies. This episode, we are discussing the Twilight Zone marathon happening on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day for 2017 and 2018. My name is Andrew, and here do we have with me
Kevin.
Kevin. Hey, this is a two-man. This is a two-man job.
It is, and I believe the network is actually pronounced SyFy.
SyFy. Yeah, no, it's SyFy, yeah. SyFy. Yeah, so this is specifically for the New Year's Eve, New Year's Day marathon, and we kind of decided that we wanted to get together and give you some of our top picks that you could check out over the course of the 2-day marathon. I think it starts early in the morning on the 31st of December, which I think is the Sunday, and kind of goes throughout the day and through the night and into the next day, New Year's Day. And I think it ends somewhere either very late in the evening or early in the morning. Very late in the evening on New Year's Day, or very early in the morning on January 2nd. I did.
Yeah, I think it starts at 4 a.m. on that Saturday, or Sunday morning, I should say, and then I believe it ends at about 4 a.m. on Tuesday morning. So it's like a straight 48 hours of Twilight Zone.
Which is good.
Very good.
I know we were kind of going through and we were looking at some of these and realized that, some of our actual favorites were not on they're not showing them this year for whatever reason. But we can kind of talk about that, and people can follow up and seek them out on Netflix if they want. But I know I've got mine in chronological order of when they're going to air. Do you want to go just back and forth?
Yeah, sure. No, I too have them in that kind of setup. So
yeah. So the thought here is we really recommend checking these particular ones out. So get them on your DVR, or if it's during a normal hour of the day that you're up and you're around, check them out on SyFy. So yeah, go ahead and kick it off, Kevin.
So mine is actually the second episode they're airing for the thing, and it's the very first episode of the series, and it's the 4:30 a.m. It's season 1, episode 1. Where is everybody?
I'm not sure if I'm familiar with that one.
I picked this one because I figure it's if you, for whatever bizarre reason, have never seen the Twilight Zone before, this is like a great kind of setup as far as getting an idea of what to expect, in terms of how the show is laid out. So it's a guy wakes up in a town. There's no one there. It's all just empty. He doesn't remember how he got there or anything. So it's just him trying to figure it out, and pretty much, kind of losing his mind, because he has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, it sounds like a somewhat typical Twilight Zone premise.
Yeah, and I don't want to say too much.
Yeah, because a lot of these have twists and stuff, and it's
But it's a great, especially like I said, because it's the very first episode of Twilight Zone, and it's the second one they're showing through the marathon. So I figured that's a great start.
Yeah, absolutely. So my first one is actually 12 hours later, exactly at 4:30 p.m. on Sunday, December 31st. And that's 5 characters in search of an exit. Which, if you're not familiar with this one, this is where there are these 5 different people. They're kind of in this space, and they're not sure, what they're doing there, why they're there. It's a soldier, a ballerina, a clown, a hobo, and I think there's someone else.
Yeah, there's someone else. Yeah.
And I don't remember. Those are the 4 that I always remember. But that one, I always really like that one. That's probably one of my. Well, it's definitely one of my favorites, just outright. But it's one of the. We kind of limited ourselves to 5 here, and then maybe at the end we'll go through some other ones. that we know are popular. But so yeah, that's one of my favorite ones, and definitely recommend checking it out. That's 5 characters in search of an exit on at 4:30 on the 31st.
So my second one, and gonna be jumping back a little time-wise because the next couple I have are a little earlier that day. But the next one I have is at 10 a.m. That Sunday. It's season 2, episode 29, The Obsolete Man. And the premise of the episode, it takes place, sometime, kind of in the quote-unquote future. And it's very reminiscent to me of kind of Fahrenheit 451 or 1984.
Yeah, sure.
And it's a guy who's a librarian who's condemned to death because of certain like books and things he owns. And so it and I'm trying to find a good way to say more without saying too much. But it's basically like it's like I said, it's very like in my mind Fahrenheit 451 1984-esque.
No, absolutely. Yeah, it's anytime you get those where kind of you have the abridgment of this, things like libraries and librarians and things like that. That's it's kind of easy to draw those comparisons.
Your mind jumps there really quick.
Yeah. It's not a leap. Yeah, we'll go to my next one, and it's at 11:30 p.m. on the 31st, and that is The Masks. So yeah, actually, if you start watching this one, by the time it ends, it'll be time for the new year. I didn't pick it for that reason, but yeah, it kind of worked out that way. So basically, there's this. It's this family, and the sort of grandfather figure is. He's dying, and his doctor's there and kind of gathered his family all around him before he dies. And all the while, Mardi Gras is going on. So the name of the episode is The Masks, and that kind of references the fact that during this whole process, he has them wear these masks. And so it kind of gives everything a really unsettling quality about it as the events of the episode play out, because you can't see their faces. It's kind of like those the superhero masks that you see people wear like on Halloween. It's like you can see the eyes kind of barely, sort of, and you can't really see their lips move at all.
Or they're good, kind of like a bank robbery kind of mask.
Yeah, but these are kind of more they're
creepier.
They're creepier. They're, of course. This being, they're not all wearing Superman and Batman masks. They're like custom made masks for this, and it's good. It's creepy, and that does not disappoint.
Yeah, I almost picked that one, and I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, we've not checked out each other's lists, so I mean, it's still possible that there may be one or two that overlap, but. We'll see.
Well, I only have one left that could overlap on yours. So, so my next one is at 3:30 that Sunday afternoon, and it's season 3, episode 2, The Arrival, and basically it's a plane shows up, on time, all that, and there's no baggage or people or pilots, or it's just empty. It's just an empty plane, and so this guy's like trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I think I remember this one. It's just kind of really, you watch it and you're just waiting
for it to hit. Yeah, pretty much.
It's like what's the, and kind of watching them going through all their sort of processes and trying to figure out what's going on. And
yeah, because you, similar to the guy investigating, are kind of like, what the hell, like. You're not really sure. There's something, obviously. There's always something, but what the heck is that something?
Yeah, absolutely. Then kind of moving on to my third one, it's New Year's Day at 8 a.m. So Monday the 1st at 8 a.m. It's A World of His Own, which if you've never seen this one, it's basically, the premise is that there's this writer and his wife sees another woman in his arms, and that kind of causes all sorts of trouble. But basically, it kind of bears out that, you know, not everything is as it seems, and it's. I can't think of it really any other way to describe it other than that. You just kind of
good way. And that again, just saying, I almost picked that one for my 5.
Yeah, it's a good one. That's one of my favorite. It's good in kind of a way that it's not. I think a lot of people sometimes associate the Twilight Zone with being something that's scary or supremely creepy or unsettling. And this one kind of, it skirts that line, but it doesn't go too far into being creepy.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it kind of runs the sci-fi gambit, where if there's something science fiction, it'll touch on it. Basically, some episode will have something to do with it. You know, if there's some sci-fi thing you can think of. But then, yeah, they do have a few that are a bit less about that, which, from what I remember, that is kind of that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so moving on to my 4th one, that one I'm still on Sunday, so
yeah, I've already the ball has already dropped, and I'm fully into 2018 at this point.
Most people crazy hungover at this, you know, where you are.
Yeah, 8 a.m. Yeah, no, it's
they're still blacked out.
Yeah, it's
that's the DVR episode right there.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the you called the Uber, and you got home safe. You let your designated driver drive, but you know you got home and you're fine, and you're sleeping it off.
But so my next one, it's 10 p.m. Sunday night, season 1, episode 22. It's The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street.
Yes, this is a really, really good one, and I really, really like it. So I'm really glad you picked it.
It's very much a classic. Like, if there are those kind of, you know, in my mind, if there were those few episodes that had to be picked as just like, you know, never seen Twilight Zone, and you needed to watch, let's say, 10 of them through the whole series, you know, not just this. This is one of those 10 that I would put on there. But essentially, it's a small little suburb kind of town, and these odd things start happening, and so the townspeople kind of start freaking out, thinking that there's some kind of invasion that's happening.
Yeah,
and that's what I'll say about that.
Yeah, that's all these so far. It's like, yeah, we're gonna give you the basic setup, and then kind of walk away from the story, because a lot of these are they're so good, they're really good.
Yeah, and all of these episodes are very much, you know, if you haven't seen it, you don't want to say too much, but if you have seen it, just those tiny little descriptions are like, oh yeah, I know this one, you know, and you can immediately kind of see the whole thing play out.
Absolutely. My 4th one is probably my favorite episode of the Twilight Zone. And that's it airs on January 1st at 6:30 p.m. And that's Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up? Are you familiar with this one, Kevin?
Oh yes.
This is, to me, this is like the pinnacle. This is the top of the, but basically this bus stops at a diner, and they slowly realize that they were supposed to have X number. They were supposed to have like 6 people on the bus, but there were 7 people on there. There are 6 people who paid, but there are 7 people on there. So who is this other person? Where did they come from? And they're waiting for like the weather to clear up. And like they're all trying to figure out who this person is, and who's the odd person out. So it's kind of like an interesting psychology sort of study.
Yeah, no, yeah, again, that another very much a classic. These are all classics. What can I say? But so for my final one, it is the follow-up early morning. It's the 8:30. Oh, no, wait a sec. Never mind. I can't read letters. It's it's Monday night at 8:30 p.m. And it's the season 1, episode 8. Time Enough at Last.
Yes.
Again, this is another one where it's like a quintessential Twilight Zone episode. And this is one of those ones where it really isn't all that sci-fi, but it's about this bank teller who loves reading basically more than anything else, and everything else in life is an obstacle to that. And again, I don't want to say too much more, but it follows this guy.
So a bank teller, you say?
Yes.
So later on in the evening, at 10:30 p.m., we get A Penny for Your Thoughts, which is my last one. And this one features, I think it's Dick York, famous for being on the, whatchamacallit, the Bewitched.
Yes.
And so he plays a bank teller, and he suddenly realizes that at the start of his day that he has the ability to hear other people's thoughts. And kind of as you imagine how that could be disorienting, and how that would change things for him for the course of the story. But yeah, it's kind of neat, and it's kind of gives you a little bit of an insight into how, like, sometimes people may think something and they think it off the top of it. It's like even if someone's trying to be nice, they may be thinking about something else. And just kind of, it's neat. I always like that one. So yeah, so those are our sort of 10 picks. We didn't overlap.
I was a little surprised. I was expecting at least one to be the same. Like maybe that last one I had, or one of the town one. I was thinking maybe those two, but I'm pretty happy that we didn't.
Yeah, because I think we got a decent cross section of stuff. I mean, there's other stuff out there. Like there's so I've got some other ones here that I picked out. So like a classic one that people always talk about is Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. And if you want to watch that one airs on the 31st, so Sunday night at 11 p.m. And then kind of the same thing with like To Serve Man. That's going to be Monday night, the 1st at 10 p.m. Right before A Penny for Your Thoughts. And then after A Penny for Your Thoughts is Eye of the Beholder, which is another very famous episode, at 11 p.m. But yeah, I've got some of these here. One of the things I wanted to point out, because I like talking about this stuff, is that there's an episode, there was like a season or two, I think it was just a season, where they stopped using like film stock and they started like recording the video, and it kind of gives the way you shoot, it gives it a sort of different look and vibe and feel. And a good example of an episode like that where they shoot it on video as opposed to film is Long Distance Call, and you can watch that one at 3 p.m. on Monday the 1st. I don't know if you're familiar with that one or any of those that I just mentioned.
I believe so. It's one of those, I don't know them great just by name.
Yeah,
but
so
I'm pretty sure I know. I mean, I'd be surprised if there was an episode I haven't seen.
Yeah, so Nightmare at 20,000 Feet is the classic William Shatner one.
Yep.
To Serve Man is the one with Jaws, where the Jaws, the Richard Keel, where the aliens come down and they try to, then they help people, and they basically cure all of society's ills. And then Eye of the Beholder is kind of the very classic. I don't want to say too much about it, because of what happens in that. And then Long Distance Call is about a toy that a grandmother gives her grandson. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, is there anything else that we want to talk about here?
I mean, if you like these, a couple that I like that I didn't notice on there, that we're playing are there's one, and again, unfortunately, I don't know, the episode names or season and all that, but there's a Holocaust episode that's very good.
Oh, Death Set Revisited.
Yep. And then there's actually two others. There's one where there's a World War II pilot who like he goes through a wormhole basically and jumps ahead 30 years or around there and finds out that it's the mid 60s or 70s whatever. And so he's like trying to sort all that out. And then in this one I think I may have seen on there, and again I just not 100% sure. But it's about these three astronauts, and it has to do with like some time travel. And I want to say I saw it, and I'd have to double check, but
I think that's a long borrow, maybe.
That might be. And if it is, then that one I also like quite a lot.
I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Thanks very much for listening / watching, and we hope you like the podcast or like this video episode. We hope if you watch the episodes that we selected, let us know. And if you have your own favorite Twilight Zone episodes, please let us know those as well. And if you like this, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave us comments, give us thumbs up, and all that good stuff. And you can reach out to us at Infinite Binge on Twitter. And we'll see you next time.